Hey house guests, welcome to today's Big Brother Canada updates and spoilers. Our house guest of the day is Mary Duda 444. Hi Mary. She wants to know who at this point I would like to see win the whole thing. And she's rooting for Allison and Netta. And I have to say, I am also rooting for Netta. Not so much Allison, but Netta, because I think she is really the brains behind the operation, behind the Sloppy Six. I think she's been laying low for a lot of the game, and now she's going to start winning competitions. She's been strategizing the whole time, and I'd love to see her get rewarded for that. So I'll go with Netta. And if you want to be house guest of the day, send me a private message. Okay, so I'm just intimidated because this spoiler's really, really long. It's really good though, so hang in there. Alright, yesterday was a big day. As I suspected, they were not going to let nothing happen yesterday because Power Veto Ceremony was today, so yesterday they had nothing to do. So they gave Adele some sort of task. I'm hoping it was given by Marshall the Moose. But it was a setup because the whole house was in on it, and I don't know exactly what the task was, but the rest of the house was supposed to keep him from completing it. It must have been hilarious. So the rest of the house succeeded, which means it was an overall success, and we'll get to the reward for that in just a moment. So Arlie he knows that the Gremlins are most likely staying this week, and the plan was to put Allison up on the block and get rid of her. So he wants to try and make a deal with the Gremlins. He doesn't want to waste this opportunity. So he goes and talks to them, and he's like, hey, I'm the captain now. Just kidding. He was like, guess what? I planted the seed this week to keep you safe. What? So immediately I thought of that show, Jamae, Private School Girl. Raise your hand if you watch that. When she's all like, stop trying to capitalize on my African. So it was kind of like that. And Rochelle and what's-her-face, Sabrina, are like Kwame. Alright, so let's talk about the reward for Adele's secret mission. It was a fancy reward party, and the fees were even off for it, which means it was a big deal. They had to dress up, and there was lots of drinky. So when the feeds came back, there were plenty of people stumbling around. John and Netta had a little tiff. I don't know what happened exactly, but apparently there were like handcuffs or something, and Netta was handcuffed to Arlie, and this made John like jealous, and he was like, oh, maybe Netta is closer to Arlie now, and she's gonna take him to the end instead of me. You'd have to be drunk to think that. Oh wait, John was plastered, so that makes sense. But anyway, Netta doesn't like him when he's drunk. He's so obnoxious, I don't blame her. But that's definitely gonna cause problems. So like I said, little tiff there. It's all fine now, but at the time it was like, rawr. So Allison was also pretty sloppy and crazy emotional. I'm talking tears for days. So she was all, no one wants me, I'm the bottom of the totem pole. Then she pulled aside Arlie and she was like, don't screw me over. It was a breakdown for the ages. So then Arlie's all like, oh, well, if you would have trusted me, you would be in a better position right now. And he's like, I can change anything in this game whenever I want. I'm in charge. So she was just like, this is not helping. So she went off and like cried by herself, and she was like, this is a quote. I took out the F word because I'm not saying that. But she was like, I am a healthcare professional and you are effing sick and are doing this shit on purpose. Yeah, that's gonna go down in quote history. And then she was like, I don't want to be this person. You made me be this person. I guess she was talking to Big Brother, but what a mess. Oh my gosh. So then Heather and Netta were comforting her, and Allison was like, don't you dare trust those guys. They're gonna screw you over. She's talking about Arlie and John specifically. And it's just like wild. So while all that was happening, while Heather and Netta were comforting Allison and getting information, Arlie was outside trying to seal the deal on the aforementioned deal with the gremlins. So John walks in on this conversation, and I'm sure Arlie was like, oh. So John goes back and reports to Heather and Netta, and he's like, you know what? I don't think Arlie would have included me on that deal if I hadn't walked in. So they're comparing notes about Arlie, and they're like, oh snap, I think Arlie told Allison that she's in trouble this week. So they're like, he's going down. Alright, keep in mind, they're pretty drunk when this is all happening. So John, Netta, and Heather are really bonding over this. They make a final 3 deal, and they're like, you know what? Arlie needs to go. And I'm like, yes. But I'm wondering, how will the secret POV come into play? Because originally we were thinking Allison was going to be backdoored this week. She would use her secret POV on herself, and then Arlie could possibly go up. But if he goes up first, what's going to happen? We're about to find out. So John, Netta, and Heather want to use this as an opportunity to pull Allison in closer, because they can be like, oh yeah, sloppy seconds, everyone else wanted to backdoor you this week, and we were like, no. So they were all excited about their plan. They were ready to seal this deal, and they wanted to talk to Allison about it and tell her, hey, biatch, you're safe. But she was too drunk to even sit up or stay awake. So they were like, okay, we gotta take care of this in the morning. Which they did. It's good to go. Everything's in motion. I forgot what I was going to say. So everyone knows about the plan at this point, except for Arlie. Lol. So when I say everyone, I mean everyone, including Sabrina. But she's such a little brat. When she found out that the plan was to use the veto on Rochelle, she made this big stink about it not being used on her, and she's like, this would be my 3rd time on the block. Are you threatening me? So she needs to get a grip, because she's not going home anyway. Arlie is supposed to be going home. Ah! So, the power veto ceremony, the much anticipated power veto ceremony, happened this morning, and it was crazy. Like, really crazy. So, John used the power veto on Rochelle as planned and nominated Arlie. And then, when they were all getting up to hug each other and stuff, apparently Allison was like, I got something to say. So, she pulls her special power veto out of her butt crack and is like, I'm using this veto on Sabrina. And everyone was like, what? So then John was forced to put up somebody else, and it ended up being Adele. So Adele and Arlie are on the block this week. Who would have thought? So I'm like, what? I'm not sure if Allison just used the veto to use the veto, or if she's planning on teaming up with Rochelle and Sabrina and like flipping the house to keep Arlie. I really hope that's not the case, but if she was just using it to use it, that's really dumb, because she's peeing off a lot of people. She's not allowed to tell anyone how she got this veto either. So they're all suspicious. They're like, oh, she's Canada's player for sure. Like, she's an actress. She's a mole. Netta especially is so pissed off. Like, can't even speak pissed off. Arlie seems shocked. He did not see this coming at all, which makes it even more awesome. So he was totally spilling his guts after the ceremony. I don't know if this was just because he's feeling defeated and he knows it's over, or if this is some sort of sick strategy, but he's like, yeah guys, I'm unemployed, I'm a poker player, a super fan, I've been throwing competitions this whole time, and remember when my cigarettes went missing and everyone was freaking out? Well, I threw them out. He sounds a lot like Eeyore/Barney, the dinosaur. So, I'm sorry! But he's revealing everything. All of his strategies, all of his prior alliances, what worked, what didn't work, it's all coming out. So that's pretty fun. It looks like he's definitely going this week, which is surprising to me because it would probably be in Allison's best interest, now that she screwed things up, to actually team up with Rochelle and Sabrina and possibly keep Arlie on their side. But then again, you really don't want to miss that opportunity to take out a strong player like Arlie, because he could really do some damage. It's just going to be wild. I don't see Arlie just giving up. I think he is going to go with that plan and try to reel those 3 in, but at this point it looks like they're going to be voting him out, which is surprising. I don't know if they just don't realize what's going on yet or what, but I would like to see Arlie go. I want you guys to let me know what you think of everything in the comments. Who do you want to go this week? Arlie, Adele? Let me know. And until tomorrow, much love.
Edit.